of the 1805 to 1806 winter term, after which time he left the city. We shall return to these lecture courses in due course. Despite Hegel's repeated announcements during this Jena period of a forthcoming book on the subject, his published work on logic came considerably later. The first part of what was announced as the first volume of a planned 2-volume Science of Logic was published only in 1812, when Hegel was professor and rector at a gymnasium in Nuremberg. The second part of the same volume came the year after, in 1813. So subject was footnote 3. He first promised a textbook on the subject in connection with his announcement of a lecture course on logic and metaphysics for the summer term of 1802, secundum librum sub eodem titulo proditurum GW 7361. He repeated the promise in the announcement for the winter of 1802. Science of Logic, footnote 4, Wissenschaft der Logik, erster Band, die objektive Logik, Nuremberg, 1812, GW 11. This is the counterpart of Book 1 in the 1833 edition and also the Lasson edition. And at 1813, footnote 5, Wissenschaft der Logik, die objektive Logik, die Lehre vom Wesen, Nuremberg, 1813, GW 11. This is Book 2 in the 1833 edition and also in the Lasson edition. Both parts went under the subtitle of Objective Logic, and the second carried the further subtitle, The Doctrine of Essence. The announced second volume was finally published in 1816, still in Nuremberg, in one part and with the subtitle, The Doctrine of the Concept. Another much abbreviated Science of Logic appeared in 1817 as the first part of an encyclopedia of the philosophical sciences and outline, which Hegel, who in the meantime, 1816, had been appointed as professor at the university in Heidelberg, produced as the textbook for his professor at the for his lecture courses. He published a second, heavily revised edition of this work in 1827, and yet a third, with minor revisions, in 1830. Doctrine of the Concept 6, Wissenschaft der Logik oder die Lehre vom Begriff. This is Book 3 in the 1833 edition and also in the Lasson edition. 7, Encyclopedia of the Philosophical Sciences and Outline. Enzyklopädie der philosophischen Wissenschaften im Grundriss zum Gebrauch seiner Vorlesungen, Heidelberg, 1817, GW, and 8 at 1830, GW 19 and 20. These two last editions of the encyclopedia were still published in Heidelberg, even though by that time Hegel had long since moved to Berlin. In this city, he had continued to lecture on the subject of logic. Footnote 9, notes from the 1831 lectures taken by Hegel's son Karl have been published in the series Vorlesungen, ausgewählte Nachschriften und Manuskripten, Vorlesungen über die Logik, Band 10, edition Udo Ramail in 1817, and taken by the student F.A. Good have been published in the same series, Vorlesungen über Logik und Metaphysik, Band 11, edition Karen Gloy, Hamburg, Meinach, 1992. We note, moreover, that in 1826 he had begun to give some thought to a new edition of the original Nuremberg work, and in fact, in January of 1831, he submitted to the publishers a heavily revised version of Part 1 of Volume 1 of that first Science of Logic, that is, the part published in 1812. This new version, now entitled The Doctrine of Being, came out in print the year after.